Hello. Good to see you.
Alright there, Revenants, welcome back to Code Vein in the Road 100, where today we are going to start our 67th star run. Yay! And a little bit of clickbaity thumbnail there with Eo. Sorry about that, but we're going to be running Louis today. Now, the most appropriate partner for this build and what we're going to be actually running would be Jack, actually, but going to run Louis because I was asked specifically to see about doing a run where I pick the most thematically lore appropriate partner for each area. So we're going to do that. So the builds are going to be not really themed. We're going to talk about specifically like which partner should be brought with you and which one you should play with at certain points in time. Now, this won't exactly follow the real rules of how the partners actually show up in your inventory for your first playthrough, but this will be more in line with how the lore actually operates and stuff. So, without further ado,
Let's hurry.
okay, Louis, we will hurry. So without further ado, let's get into the build here. So today this is going to be Queen's Breath, and this is a tight second here with Demeter, but you'll notice that if we turn off everything, you'll notice that Queen's Breath has higher stamina, less health, and so we're going for the higher stamina potential here. It has 15 extra stamina, which is potentially 2 extra sword swings, depending on how the stamina bar actually falls. But at 232, you get about 11 or 12. I think it's 12. You get 12 swings with the sword before you have to wait for your stamina to regenerate. And so here you would be only getting 10. Potentially 11, so depending on how the stamina bar falls and when you consume and if you're dodging or not. So with what we're running here, obviously we're normal mobility, but when we turn on our passives here from Revenant's Ambition, we get to a quick mobility by just about 1 or 2 weight units, so very, very good there that we can actually make use of this quick mobility here as we go about what we're going to run. Now, we are going to bring Frenzied Fire here, as this says that, it decreases the enemy's focus gauge. Now, what does that actually mean? It decreases 50% of the active focus of an enemy, or it decreases 50% of the buildup of an enemy. So, you can use this very quick, in quick succession if you have the ichor possible. It says it's a dark gift, but this does not scale with dark value, where you might think like, oh, the more dark value I have, the more focus I can decrease. It is a flat 50%, and it does have a pretty quick cooldown of 2 seconds, and you can see there, how quick that cooldown is, and it can be pretty useful if you don't want like an enemy to get into focus space, because then they become harder to stagger. And since we're going to be playing with precision here as well, this makes it easier to stagger enemies with our weapon. Costs 5 ichor, and it has a pretty fast cooldown, but it only lasts 30 seconds. So we are pretty bummed out about that. But this, in conjunction with Frenzied Fire here, as we go along, it will make for a great way to kind of slice through the enemies and at the same time we have Royal Heart. This increases our resistance to being staggered, so if the enemy does hit us while we are in our sword striking swings, we don't have the craziest balance in the world, but it will help us by about 33% increase to our stagger resistance. So this setup here is kind of interesting because it just kind of plays into a very, very fast, kind of quick mindset and playstyle. So keep an eye on the enemy's focused bar as we go through here. Obviously, we will cut these guys down very, very quickly because we are at the start of the game here. And you can see we can one tap all these guys pretty much if we want to, and like this guy. So keep that in mind as we go about what we're going through here. Whoops. And you can see there we didn't get staggered at all because of Royal Heart. So that is a very, very, very good gift. And we're not really getting a good representation here of being able to use Frenzied Fire until we get to the big boys later on in the fight, and especially the Oliver fight as well, because the Oliver fight you want to be able to stagger him as much as possible, and you want to get him out of his focus state as much as possible, and so that's where Frenzied Fire can come in very, very helpful. And so for right now, if we use what is that? Oh, good grief. Bridge to Glory. Oh man, my brain just like literally stopped there for a second. If we use Bridge to Glory, then we have ultimate power because 50% of our light value is getting added, and that's in the area of 740 that we're getting used towards our damage value. And what that gets us up to, whoops, is 2247 with Louis, and then we have 20% from quick mobility and 20% from lightning damage and 20% from flame weapon. And if we go for a charge value here on our weapon as well, that gets us to 25%. So if we're looking at where we're sitting here, let's do the number here real quick. It's 1095 times 1.2 times 1.25 from Louis. Well, we'll do that at the end, times 5 if we get, or 1.45 if we use all the elements. So that gets us to 2375, and then plus 640, so that's over 3015 sorry, that's 740. So 3115 is our attack value potential that we can go for. And then we have Severing Abyss, which is a 5 times multiplier if we happen to land that attack on an enemy. So we can do upwards of about 15 or so thousand damage on all of our abilities here. And so like I said, we're not really getting a great showing of Frenzied Fire, just because the enemies die so very quick. But that's okay. We'll see it in the Oliver fight. And so let's go for this, and we will try for. Okay. So you see there, he's already out of his focus state because of Frenzied Fire. At least we were able to see it there for a very, very short time. Okay, very good. And that's the really interesting thing about Frenzied Fire, is that you don't really typically get a whole lot of use out of it. And you can see his little focus bar up there as it moves around, depending on where you are in the attack string. And we'll check out this big boy down here, and you'll get a good understanding of how it actually operates and what it's actually doing. So any buildup that's happening, you are able to remove it before they get focused, but also you're able to remove it whoops. Okay, and so see there, he's almost focused. So there we... Oh. Okay, he just killed himself. And Louis is gonna let me die. Yes, you should have been paying attention, Louis. That's very right. You were just standing there blocking like an idiot. But you can see that we don't actually like get staggered or anything, so typically you have to watch yourself before getting attacked, because you might actually get hit and you don't know it. Okay, and there we reset his focus bar. Okay, and we reset his focus bar there again. So you can see that it does allow for a potential to continuously attack and stagger an enemy. However, for some of the bigger enemies like this guy, the reduction in focus value for the enemy, it doesn't necessarily do like exactly what you might think it's gonna do. Okay, so there he's focused, and we missed him, and we'll remove his focus bar. Okay, Louis got him focused, and see, we are extremely short range for this, and you can see that you have to be pretty much right on the enemy, which is why it's most beneficial for like a very intense melee kind of play, just like this here, where we have like a one-handed sword running. Okay, and he's almost focused. We missed him. Oh, and off the edge he goes. Okay, and you can see that like we don't really have a very far cast potential, so let's see it from here. So you can see that it's very short range, and it doesn't give you a lot of leeway in order to actually hit an enemy. You can see it's literally just about like yeah, it's like one sword, one hammer length away or something like that. Like everything has a farther range than this, so you have to have an enemy like kind of in this area here, about a sword length away, maybe 2 sword lengths away. Like 1 sword length, 2 sword lengths is about how far that would be, and it's important to keep that in mind as you are playing with Frenzied Fire. It's not something you'll use very often, I would imagine. However, just from the, from the sheer amount of time that you play in Vayne, and you go about engaging with the different systems, this is one of the ways that you can go about, enjoying. So you can see there that we hit him, and then we reset his focus bar, which is really nice that we're able to do that. Okay, so you can see there that even though these guys die in just a few hits, we are able to do a little bit of damage and everything. Whoops. Okay, and so this guy, yep, this guy is focused there, so we can we can get him focused up here again. Okay, and we'll reset his bar. Okay, oh, and Louis is just on a rampage here, but you can see that it helps you to do staggers more often, and this will become much more of super valuable when you get to like the cathedral, because you have a bunch of those fat ladies, and you have the thin golden warriors, and so once you get to those kinds of enemies, you're able and capable to continually take away their focus bar. It's the only gift in the game that actually removes focus from an enemy, and so it's very unique, very special, and simple to understand. However, the use cases are not as varied as you might think, and the most important part to remember is like the bigger enemies, when you're trying to stagger them, this has a lot of synergy with the heavier weapons, because you're able to stagger and stun an enemy over and over, like with some of the power moves and such. You're able to stagger them quite frequently, and with something like the Black Greatsword, where you constantly stagger the enemy and build up their focus bar constantly, this is a great way to go about removing their focus bar, so that you can have better chances of staggering the enemy all the time. And because it only costs 4 ichor, it's fairly affordable and fairly usable for everything, for every kind of encounter that you're going to come up against. So now when we get into a boss fight, the bosses don't have like a focus bar that you can see like with the regular enemies, which I wish they did, and that's one of the things I want updated in Vein 2, is the bosses to have a focus bar, so you can, because something like this is usable, but it doesn't seem like it's very valuable because you can't see if the boss is focused or not, like how far they are on the focus bar, but you can tell when they get focused because they start glowing blue, right? And so for this fight, we are going to have to pay attention when Oliver is glowing blue, and then we will go for some Frenzied Fire, and we will remove his focus bar very, very, very fast. And we will also have a ton of damage that we will be able to put out on him very, very fast and very, very simply. And we will be able to pair this with a parry. So that'll be nice that we can do that. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh. Bad parry timings. Okay. Alright, let's just go ahead and heal up here. Because we've been hit like an absolute moron there. Okay. So there's a Royal Heart coming in. Superb. Okay, there's a stagger. There's another stagger. And he has not turned blue yet. And he won't now because he actually... and he won't turn blue because he actually... we hit him once with it, and so that removed 50% of his focus bar that he doesn't have. And so that's kind of a sad part about it there, that you can't actually see, you know, that entire bit. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, great night, whatever, and I love you all.